just loose little exploration with color. And I am going to use the back side of this paper. I'm going to tape it down to my plexiglass, which I love to use so that I can move and manipulate and tilt my paper all over the place. So what I'm going to do is grab some tape. Yes, I reuse my tape because I feel like it's such a huge waste and it's easy enough to save. So why not reuse it if I can? And so I do. I usually end up getting, I don't know, 3 to 5 uses out of it, maybe sometimes more depending on. This is very, very cheap tape I'm using right now. I'm trying to use it up because I have some really nice tape I like. I love my Holbein soft tape. That is my favorite tape, but this is just some tape that I got from Jackson Art, which is literally really, really cheap. I mean, like $1 cheap kind of tape. So I wouldn't recommend it. I guess it does the job. I feel like it's more wasteful. I do feel that the Holbein soft tape lasts a lot longer. So that is the bonus of buying nice tape, especially if you're going to reuse it and not waste and not just throw it away. So what I'm going to do, I have my tape down. It's crooked and it's okay. And I'm going to spray my paper. I'm actually going to check my coffee. I'm just warming up some coffee right now. And I want to make sure it's not boiling over. So I'm going to grab it real quick here. Okay, grabbing my coffee. In real time. So all the things could happen. All right, I had actually forgot that I put it on and decided to go live kind of impromptu. And so sometimes I'll just do that. And so sorry about that. All right, let's go. Let's grab a brush. Let's just grab this one. And what should we paint? I have no idea. I didn't plan anything. I don't like to plan stuff typically, unless I have something I have to work on for a collaboration or something that I'm inspired by. But otherwise, I don't usually come to these with something planned. So I'm going to use the loose kind of a round brush. And let's go ahead and just kind of start how I start all mine lately. I'm going to go ahead and follow what I had done. Since I had done a vertical one, I'm going to do a vertical one on this back side of this paper. The front side I did a vertical I showed in the beginning. So if you didn't see that and you missed that, you can go back and check that out. So I'm just going to add some yellowish, yellow ochre, lemon yellow, and a little bit of a kind of a cool yellow. So there's 3 different yellows. I usually like to use a few different yellows here. I don't like to use just one. I don't know. I feel like mixing is much better. You're going to get much more variety. You're going to get much more different hues and values and all the things. I mean, you can also get that with less water and more water, obviously. But I feel the more you're kind of adding in and playing, the more harmonious it ends up in the end for me. I know my color theory isn't true to, professional color theory, but I really like the way I play with color and I have fun with color. And so that's ultimately the most important part, right? Is that you're enjoying what you're doing, not because someone says it's right or wrong. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you have fun while doing it. If you're having fun exploring color in a way that makes you happy, but people say it's wrong, then oh well, right? Do it your way. Do the way that brings you joy. And later on, if you choose to learn all the right, the right ways, quote unquote, that's fine. But for now, honestly, just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you get painting, picking up a brush, and just doing stuff. And so, yeah, this doesn't look like much, and it's not yet. And we're just going to keep playing until we kind of decide where I want to go with this. And that's the fun, right? You don't have to decide right away. You don't have to you'll see a burnt sienna-ish. Hi, Penny! I missed you the other day. Last week you were not there. I just came outside to relax on my deck. I grabbed my phone. Aw. I kept looking. I was like, where is she? Where is she? Did not see you. You must have had something going on. But yeah, I was wondering. I think I even said your name in it. I was like, where are you? But yeah, I think the idea of just getting paint on paper is more important than what you're painting sometimes, especially if you're newer to painting, or if you've been painting a while and you're maybe stuck in a lull or a rut. It's just getting to paint is, getting paint on the paper. Okay, so I'm going to, I use this kind of this dull muted sagey color down here. So I'm gonna also bring it up into my sky. I do like to make sure, yes, I use a lot of colors, but I also like to make sure that I'm using them in, you know, harmoniously in different places. So I wouldn't just do the sky some crazy colors, then do the totally opposite on the bottom usually. Not that you can't, you can absolutely do whatever you want. But I like to tie those colors in together. And so I will bring that muted sagey color-ish up, and then I'll, whoa, that was a lot of yellow, wasn't it? So then I'll bring my yellow back up to that and kind of meet that, and we'll just start kind of deciding where we want more color and where we want what color. So I'm going to just drop more of this color down here. These are all no, most of them are handmade paints, not all. Some of them are commercial style. I think one is Art Philosophy. Another, I think that's the only one. I do really love Art Philosophy's ochre color. It's a really beautiful yellow, and that I can't find often everywhere else. Oh, thanks, Kayla. I'm glad. I try, whatever I'm talking about is usually stuff that I've struggled with, or stuff that I basically am just kind of my own mantras. So if you ever think I'm like lecturing or anything, it's usually just reminders to myself to kind of, you know, to forget all the stuff that, yes, somebody else can paint amazing, and they can paint, you know, very detailed, and they can paint very realistic, and I can't, and I probably won't be able to in anywhere near the near future, right? Unless I go to a drawing class or learn some drawing skills that I've just, you know, I don't have now at all. I'm more of a, I can kind of look and kind of draw that way if I look back and forth, but I can't just draw on my own. And so, you know, and of course, I personally find no problems with tracing. I don't do it that often. I've maybe done it 2 or 3 times to get maybe a really, really difficult perspective. I've used an app called DaVinci Eye, and it basically projects the image that you want onto your paper, and so you can kind of sketch around the image. So I guess, yeah, technically it is tracing. And some people are really, really anti that and get really their everything in a bundle. I'm not into that. I don't think that's wrong. As long as it's something you're able to trace and you give credit to where the reference photo is from, that's all fine in my book. Just giving credit where credit's due, basically. But I don't see what's wrong with tracing when you're trying to learn. I just don't know how else, you know, I don't know. It is stressful to post. Is it stressful to post art? Is it stressful? In what sense? Like, does it make me nervous, like posting stuff that I'm not very proud of, that kind of way, or just posting all the time? Like having it as my job, basically, my unpaid job. Which one? Because it could be. But no, I don't conform to the trends, and I don't try to do what other people are doing. I try to stay true to myself, which is why you'll see a lot of landscapes. You won't see a lot of the trendy, you're like, oh, here's how to paint a flower in 3 steps. Here's how to paint a landscape in 2 steps with one blah, 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 one color. And, you know, I try not to jump on those because I want to stay true to what I am. And I feel like if I do that kind of stuff, I'll lose part of me. Each artist makes their own. I truly believe that, Penny. I think we should do our own rules. And even if I say something you don't agree with, you know, smile and nod and be like, okay, Amber, she's crazy today, but you know, the other thing she said was cool, you know, or maybe it'll work for you one day down the road, and today not so much, right? I think we all should all try to be more open to that kind of stuff. I've heard recently that that somebody that people just, I don't know, I've just heard some stuff lately that I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. And I don't think anything makes a better artist, right? You don't need to go to art school. You don't have to take a class. You don't have to do, you know, a year's worth of Skillshare classes every single day, 1 to 5 classes a day, like, you know, somebody you might know, me. It doesn't necessarily make you a better artist. It's fun, sure, it's a lot of fun. But there's different ways, and different people learn different things, right? And what took me, you know, 4 years could take you 6 months, right? I'm a slow learner. I also feel like that's important too, to respect those boundaries of yourselves and others, and, you know, really just focus on what works for you. So anyway, sorry for the rants and the I wouldn't say tirades, but I just get a little passionate about things. I think we all do, right? And so again, not necessarily sure what I'm painting. It's up to you, what you see. If you see something, you're like, oh, she's painting a, you know, whatever, then that's awesome. I kind of like it that way. I like to leave it a little bit up to, but odds are, yes, I'm probably painting a landscape somewhere, most likely painting a landscape. So my vision right now, the text, I'm looking through my phone. I don't have everything else set up. Again, this was impromptu, so I can't necessarily see all what I'm painting because the words are in the way, but I'm assuming if you're on any device besides a phone, I don't know, Penny, can you see the bottom half or are the words covering it up? Is the text covering it up? Or sometimes people just listen. You don't always have to watch. Sometimes it's funny, I will just turn on a tutorial or a YouTube something and just listen. Just listen while I paint, or listen while I'm, prepping or finishing up dishes or finishing up some sort of something I'm doing in the kitchen. And it's just like kind of having, instead of like a podcast, just kind of I wouldn't say it, yeah, kind of like listening to a friend or, painting with friends or something. And again, no idea what I'm just painting here. Just dabbing in color and kind of letting things go loose and letting them be. And I don't think it has to be something specific. And maybe it won't be. Odds are it might not be. Oops, I just grabbed some purple. I did not want purple, but I did want this kind of a rich, dark green. I can see just fine, and it's looking, oh good, okay. Thank you. And so I just got back from a week almost a week, camping with my kids. My spouse dropped us off, and we just, the kids and I stayed mostly. He came and visited us a few times because we live close by. It was only like a 10-minute place away. So anyway, we hung out and I painted a lot, and it was so hard to paint, out of my element, and I always forget how hard it is. So again, it feels like sometimes starting over, right? When you change your space or change your studio space, or I don't have a studio, it's in my kitchen, but it's so funny how different things can happen when you're out of your element. So just goes to show that I feel like I'm kind of starting over today. I feel like this is all like new to me, and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I did do a Relaxing Art by Janet tutorial at YouTube demonstration last night. I won't call them tutorials because they're not necessarily tutorials, but they're good demonstrations without words. And so they're really challenging for me, but it was nice to get back to a routine, which I missed. I am a creature of habit now after having kids. That definitely put me in that category of prefers a routine. Didn't know I'd be there, but I am definitely there. Definitely. Okay. So the sky is a little boring. Let me see if the paper's still wet. It has a good sheen. I think we can go. Okay, so a lot of people might not like this. See how it bleeds and I didn't wipe it up? So what you want to do throughout, you can use your brush or you can use a cloth and just run your cloth right along that line, and it'll pick up that color before it bleeds back in or bleeds up or moves along. And so if that bothers you, that's something you want to pay attention to. These little lines right here, they don't bother me. They kind of, what they kind of remind me of? Like an old photo where the patina kind of just almost frames the picture. Anyway, that's why I kind of like them, and I leave them. Well, I often leave them. If they're pulling really bad, I'll pick them up. So what you can also do is take your brush, wipe it off, clean it off, and just kind of pick it up like this, and it'll pick up the puddles. All right, let's see what we should do with the sky. I'm gonna mix two blues. Okay, this is where I want to be careful and not bring too much water into my painting. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of, use this little dish. This is the top of my turtle palette. This is the cutest thing. The ceramics, Lisa is one of my favorite ceramic makers, and so she made this turtle. And I think it could work as a, as a jewelry dish. I can't remember. I think it's supposed to be a palette. But anyway, so I used the back for a little mixing dish when I just want a really pure color. And so I'm just going to, I think, mix a little bit of blue and a little bit of, I have some muddy brown left over from something over there. Basically colors that were, all over my palette, just waiting to be used. So I'm just gonna kind of sweep a few of those. I'm gonna dry my brush off a little bit. Again, I don't want to bring too much water into it. And so I'm just gonna bring little wispies down here. Attempt to bring little wispies. And so there's a lot of water here. You can see how it's moving. I'm okay with that. This is just practice. So I'm not going to be crazy, too much water, I've ruined it. I'm not like that. Sometimes, occasionally, if it's for something I'm working on, like a collaboration where I'm working and want to post with other people, I'm a little more, it doesn't look very good. But for the most part, it's all practice, and it doesn't really faze me if it doesn't look great, and I still post it and still share it because I want everybody to know that it doesn't have to be perfect to post it. You should just post whatever. The community, Instagram community, I don't know about YouTube, Instagram community is amazingly supportive. If you're new to posting, if you're new to the watercolor world, they're so very supportive of stuff. I can't believe what people were saying great job on back when I first started. I was like, no, it's not a great job, but thank you. I wouldn't be here without their support. I wouldn't have done this without them encouraging me. Like, I don't know what they were even thinking, encourage me. Like, I was not, and I'm not amazing now because I'm not natural at it, but I love it and I'm passionate and determined to help other people become passionate and stuff about it. So that's mainly why you see me posting everything. I like to encourage people. And I think that's probably what I was meant to do here on this social media stuff. I don't know what else it was. It's not teaching. I'm not a great teacher, but I do love to share my processes, my thoughts, and my ways. But I'm not like the person. I'm not the teacher who's going to, okay, next step is this. Okay, add this, because I want you to do your own thing, right? I really want you to get inspired by others and then branch out. Sure, follow along, do what you see, and then if you're like, ooh, can't do those kind of trees, okay, I'm gonna do this kind of tree, or ooh, don't like those clouds, or can't do those clouds, I'm just gonna swoop some in, or ooh, don't care for orange, I'm gonna add pink instead. That's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to kind of light a little bit of a fire and get you excited for these kind of things. Anyway, see again, the spiels. I'm always here to add in the spiels. I just think it's important to encourage people. I think it's important to, I don't know. I just think it's important, and to let people know that it's art. You're an artist. If you pick up a brush and you paint, you're an artist, right? I didn't believe it for a long time. It took me a really, really hard, long time to even put the word artist in my bio or add art to my name or change my name to anything relating that committed me to calling myself an artist. Because I didn't think I was, not necessarily worthy of that. I just didn't think I was an artist or could be, I guess, because in my mind, right, I was stuck in the old school way of thinking that to be an artist, you have to know how to draw. You have to be really good at what you're doing. You have to know all the basics, right? You have to kind of have that old school background of the rules and the stuff. And I am not like that. If you want to use whitewash, if you want to use if you don't want to save your white space and you want to use whitewash in the end, go for it. If you want to use bleed proof white, or not, yeah, bleed proof, same thing. If you want to use Frisket or masking fluid, I say go for that. So that would just preserve your whites and your lights in your photo or in your art. And I say go for that because, again, it's for you. And I also paint for myself. I don't paint for others. I don't do commission style stuff or anything like that. I don't sell. I did sell last winter. I did some quick little mini pieces that I sold around winter holiday time. And it was just a limited little style, like ornament. They were kind of cute. Little ornaments and little magnet things. They were just really small, just little cutesy little things. But people were asking throughout the year, and I thought, this is the perfect way to do it. Let's see if it works. It was really scary because I didn't think anybody would really want it, and it was super scary, to be honest with you. And I was intimidated, and it felt weird putting myself out there. And so, yeah, I did it, and it took a lot, but yeah, so that was scary. But anyway, that's not what I do regularly. Maybe one day prints. I don't know. I can't imagine that being a thing, but maybe. Who knows? Who knows? I'm trying to be open and see where this takes me. Okay, I'm going to dry real quick so we can add the finishing touches. Okay, I don't think it's perfectly dry. No, it's a little cool, but I want to add a few more little grasses. Penny, will you have warm weather throughout September? I feel like we have 2 days that are warm right now, and it's really nice, and it's kind of a teaser, and I'm hoping we'll get a little bit more longer. So our summer was so weird here, short and not very, I wouldn't say fulfilling, but not very, I don't feel like it was enough. I got gypped. I feel like we needed more summer here. The kids want to go swimming and stuff. So I'm just going to add a few more darker twigs, grasses here, just so that we have kind of that crisp up front, and then the rest sort of blends together, if you will. And so I'm just using a liner, size 1 here, to get some really fine, trying to be careful. This is where I get a little impatient. So I'm trying to be really careful and just make some grasses. I don't want them all going the same way. Maybe the wind's blowing them the same way, but I'm trying to get them different strengths of color and different heights, and just let them kind of be wispy. And so I'm just gonna keep going with a few more, get a few more dark. Let's just add a bit of neutral tint, which is very close to a black. One of my favorites. It's very, oh my gosh, 98 on Thursday and 83 today. Okay, yeah, 83 is better. Gosh, 98 is hot. And I lived in Vegas for 14 years, so I'm good on the heat. Oh, holy hot. Hello, 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 Brazil. Hello. Okay, so we've got our little grasses. I think that's good on the grasses, maybe a few right here. And then let's do our birds. I think it's dry enough to do birds. I like to use brown or black for my birds, and I like to get the paint pretty liquidy. So I added a bit of water for the birds because I don't want them to be heavy dark, right? I want them to be as light as can be, just more hints of suggestions of birds. So I like to put them, is that wet? Okay, let me dry just in case. I feel like it might be a tiny, tiny bit too wet. Okay, you feel like that's dry now. Let's just add, okay, I'm not gonna breathe or talk, hold on. One bird. I love the depth you achieved. Oh, thank you. I tried without trying this time. It's hard to talk at the same time, right? And paint sometimes, so. Okay, let's get over here. Okay, birdies. Subtle suggestions of birds. Let's grab some shimmer and add, you know how I love this shimmer. Gotta add the shimmer. Let's get the little more room. I'm working on not a very large desk. I think it's maybe 36 inches at the most. Or table, I should say, kitchen table. And I have half of it. So let's add some shimmer right down here at the bottom. When I use shimmer, I do like to cover everything up because it gets everywhere you don't want it. And this stuff flies. You'd be surprised where it ends up. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but I always am. And I'm like, wait, I didn't want it there. Okay, let's go coppery today. Since I do have some sort of little bit of orange back there, and I like to make sure my brush is not wet, so I will roll my brush around in a cloth. How many colors do you have in your personal palette? There, I have some paints, but I do not have a select palette, but I prefer. I have a lot. You probably don't want to know. You clearly don't need as many as I have. It's just my passion, and so I love trying different handmade paint makers out. I love the commercial paints in the beginning. I love testing out different, how they move, how the paints, once they hit the water, how they, some blossom and bloom and just run really fast. Some stay put. I love, handmade shimmers. So I have more than somebody would ever need probably in a lifetime, but it brings me joy, and it is my not just my hobby, but it's my passion. I do it every single day. I don't need to justify, but that's how, you know what I mean? That's how I feel like I justify it that way. But you don't need that at all to be successful at this, or even have fun at this. You could have 8 colors and that would be fine. Technically you could have the quote unquote primaries and be fine. And even like you said, like a Payne's, also a brown, just for convenience. Like, sure, you could mix your browns, but I don't know many people. Well, no, I'm okay. I'm sure there are. I personally don't know many people who love to mix every single one of their colors as they go, right? So many of us use greens, right? I use a lot of green all the time. Will I use the exact green that I bought and put it onto my photo? I will not. I will, or my picture, I will mix it with something else, right? So, but I have a starting point. I like to have a starting point. Sap green is a great green to start with. I'm sure you know this, but I do like to have a starting point. So I think there are some colors that are nice to have in your mix, right? Warm red, warm blue, cool blue, all those. And then indigo and maybe a neutral tint, and Payne's gray are nice, and a brown and a green. And that would be fine. So recently I put together this palette on my own. Just I grabbed from different makers. This palette is 12 colors that I wanted to be able to paint anything with, and I really ended up loving what I picked. So I did pick a warm red, a cool red, a warmer yellow, slightly cooler yellow. Not really cool because I like warm yellows. I probably should put a lemon yellow in here instead, but I did not. So I do have a sap green. I have a very dark pine green. I have 3 different types of blues. One is, did I end up putting an ultramarine in here? I wanted to. I don't remember if I did or not. This is not a finalized set. And then I have a burnt umber light and a burnt umber darker. And then a inky, which is similar to a Payne's or a black. I didn't go with Payne's this time because I already had all the blues, and I figured I could mix a hint of blue in the blackish color if I wanted to. This black I think leans brown, which I actually really do love. I love a black with a slight brownish into it. Anyway, so this could be, there's nothing set in stone, right? There's so many warm reds, so many cool reds, so many different yellows you could use, and so many different blues, and it's just kind of learning what you love and what you love to mix. You know who has a really great set of colors that he uses is Max, Trail Sketch. Is that his name? Trailbound Sketching. Anyway, I just started following him, and he's amazing, and he uses this Core set, and I love Core, by the way. If you want a commercial brand and not handmade, Core is an awesome one to get, and they move beautifully, they mix beautifully, and I love them so much. I'm so surprised that I love them. So I bought 2 of these tins, and they were, I think, like $30 for 5 milliliters. Sorry about that noise. The 5 milliliters is a smaller tube, which could last you a pretty darn decent amount of time. Since I do dry them, I don't use them straight from the tube. I dry them so they last a lot longer. But honestly, these are just tossed in here because, again, I went camping and I wanted them with me. So this was, at one point, I bought these just to do a basic set, these 3, and then this smalt. I just wanted this color because it's a really pretty ultramarine violet-ish color. It's a really great blue if you don't have something fun. Anyway, there's so many routes you can go. So I just encourage you to do what makes you happy. If working with 6 colors, 8 colors, if having too many like I have, or I wouldn't say too many, if having many like I have makes you happy, then that's good too. And if you can afford it and, and you're fine with it, that's good. But as long as you're fine and can afford it, right? Don't go crazy if you can't do that. Because that's not good for anybody. I don't want to encourage that. I want to encourage people to use what they have and enjoy what they have and work with what they have and treat yourself when you can, right? When I first started, I started with Daniel Smith tubes. I love them, and I would buy maybe a tube every month, or some days it was a birthday month, right? So I'd get maybe a few extra tubes or something. And so I built up my supply that way. I never once did I go and buy just like a ton, because I'm frugal that way. There's no way I could buy. Can you imagine buying, I don't know, 25 Daniel Smith tubes? I think they're anywhere from $10 to like $16 each. So, well, I like to get the 15 milliliter because sometimes 5 millimeter feels like you're not getting your money's worth. So, frugal me had to get more for more money, but it felt less in the long run. Anyway, I knew I was in this for the long run. I knew it. I knew I was hooked and sucked in. So totally sorry for the rant on that. No, and I knew you weren't judging. It was me occasionally I get worried not worried, but you get kind of like, oh no, people are going to think, but it's all on me. So I take complete responsibility for that. I just don't have a select colors from what I have. I find last month magenta I like, I imagine. Not find the yellow yet. I don't have a watercolor friends. Oh, okay. Well, I can definitely help. Are you on Instagram too? And, Yeah, I love color. I could talk about color all day. Swatches up the wazoo. I could turn you to a handmade paint maker. Very, very affordable. There's one that I love. Hers are $5 a pan, which is amazing, amazing price. There's just a ton of different routes you can go. Like I said, this is a accumulation of 3 or 4 different paint makers, and then one is the sap is from Quar. The rest are handmade paints. But you could easily get yourself something if you're interested in something like that. But I love getting the convenience colors. So the convenience colors, like you're saying, magenta, the browns, those are just colors so you don't have to sit there and mix them every single time, right? And that's just, for me, that's just a game changer. I don't know. Okay, anyway, I'm ranting and ranting, and I could talk about this all day. So this is what we do in my subscriber group on Instagram. I'll do lives, and we'll whip out all the supplies. I'll bring out whatever colors people are interested. We'll swatch them. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about alternatives. We'll talk about, oh, does that ochre match Daniel Smith's ochre, or does it look more like Quar's ochre, or whatever. And so there's a lot of that kind of talk, like that friend talk, like you're saying, that community. It's a small community. And so also with my subscriber group, there's a chat. And so you can ask all these things anytime you want. And there's, a group of people always ready to answer your question, including myself. And so that's kind of fun. And that's a lot of people really enjoy that. And we also do a paint along once a month, and that's fun too. Okay, I'm not trying to sell myself. And it's not a big sell. So if you're not a subscriber on Instagram, it's $2.99 a month. And so that's what I'm talking about. There's also Patreon. It's a little bit more, but it's ran a little bit differently. And then there's also obviously here on YouTube, which is all free. And what else? I think that's it. There's Skillshare too. If you have a Skillshare membership, there is so much information, so much fun stuff on Skillshare to learn. You could even start with basic stuff on there and ask, even on YouTube, watch swatching videos. They're super fun to watch. Search out 12 best colors to have, right? Or my 12 favorite watercolor colors, or any kind of stuff like that. And you'll get so much good information back. Okay, I'm sorry. Again, reach out if you have any more questions, so I'm happy to answer them. You can ask in the comments, or you can message me over on Instagram. But I will let you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.